In this video, I would like to share with you some less known information about the geography of Wuyi Rock Tea. It is a video for tea freaks and for those of you aspiring becoming one. Hi guys, this is Gabriele from nannuoshan, where we share the pleasure of drinking and discovering genuine farm tea. If you're new here in our channel and you're also looking to expand your tea knowledge and brewing skills, then make sure to click on the subscribe button. And if at any point of time you enjoy watching, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. Let's get started with Wuyi Rock Tea. Before we start, I have to mention that I've already done a video about the geography of Wuyi Rock Tea, and in that video I gave you a few mainstream information about Wuyi Rock Tea that those of you that have been drinking rock tea for a while were aware of. Well, as I told you in that video, some of the information that I gave you were not correct, were wrong. This was intentional. I wanted basically to first give you a little bit of information that you usually can find also yourself online. So if you have already done some research, probably you have already encountered that those information. But today I want to correct actually what I told you and tell you which is, in my opinion, the truth about that. As you see here, I have today some notes with me, and this is a little bit unusual for my videos, but I don't want to miss any information here. If I do a general video then about tea knowledge, it's not a big problem if I forget a piece of information here and there, but today, if at the end of the video I realize I forgot in telling you something, I would be quite upset. So I wrote everything down, and this will help me as a guidance through the video. So first of all, before we get started, is if you haven't seen that first video, then is the time now to go back, have a look, because some of the information I gave them, especially at the beginning of the video, were actually correct. So I don't want today to start you with very in-depth information, and then you won't be able maybe to follow everything. So go back, have a look at the short video, and then come back here. So, first of all, one thing I want to speak about is Chinese tea culture. So, you know that Chinese tea culture is not math and is not science. It is affected by a lot of uncertainty. You cannot hope that you always grasp the completely true and the absolute true about Chinese tea culture, because simply it doesn't exist. So what we can say is that as long as you seek for absolute knowledge in tea, you will never truly understand the Chinese tea culture. This is something that I had also myself hard time understanding it, and still today I'm always trying to find the absolute truth, but sometimes you have just to face reality and understand that there is not only one truth, but many different ways of seeing the reality. And you can even say that there are as many ways of seeing Chinese tea culture as many different tastes in our mouths. All right. Another thing that I want to tell you is that for this video I had to run a series of interviews with farmers from which we supply tea, and also with Benjamin. Benjamin is a very good friend of mine and a tea lover. He has been living in China for more than a decade and deepened Chinese tea culture, but Chinese culture in general. So he helped me a lot in collecting all the information that I want to summarize in this video. So thank you very much, Benjamin, for that. And here, of course, I'm steeping a Wuyi Rock Tea. I've already done a couple of steeping with that, and this will inspire me through the video today. So let me see what we want to speak about. First of all, let me tell you what was wrong in the past video. I review exactly what I told you. I can tell you 4 concepts were not correct or not truly correct. So I have written them here, so I'm sure I tell you all. And the first one is I told you that authentic rock tea is only produced in the protected area. This is not true and cannot be true by the simple fact that there are different protected areas. There is not only one. I will tell you more about that in the future. So at least you have to define what you mean by protected area. And even if you do so, you will realize that not all authentic rock tea come from within the protected area. Consequently, when I told you my advice about searching for rock tea coming from the protected area only, that was also not 100% correct. I wouldn't do so, I don't do so. It doesn't mean that in the protected area you don't find good tea. You can find good tea, but you can also find bad tea. And outside of the protected area, you can find also good tea. Then I told you about these three different zones in which the geography, or if you want the protected area, actually subdivided, the Zhengyan, the Banyan and the Zhoucha. Well, it is true, there are three different zones and people usually refer to those, but the way I defined those zones, I told you that they are defined by the altitude in a very precise way. That's not correct. Also, I told you that Banyan, the second zone, is all within the protected area, and also this piece of information is not correct. Alright, now that you know everything that was not correct in that video, it is time to tell you which is the truth. But only after a cup of tea. So let's start with authentic rock tea, right? So the term Wuyi yancha is actually protected in China. It means you cannot call Wuyi yancha any tea you want. It has to respect certain criteria. Now, there is an area of production that it is said to, or let's say, this is defined by, if you want, by the government as the area that can produce, that may produce rock tea, and outside of this area we are not allowed to call any tea you produce Wuyi Rock Tea. It is, I couldn't find exactly which is the definition. I know that there are several areas that are all within the Fujian county. I cannot tell you if it is the whole county or if it's just a portion of it, but for sure it is at least most of the Fujian county, which is, as we said in the previous region, it is more or less a square about 70 by 70 kilometers. All right. Now, as a matter of fact, yancha or yancha-like tea is not only produced in the Wujian county, but it is also produced in the county next to it, for example, in Jiangyan and in Jiangyo. Moreover, even far away from Wujian, tea is processed in a similar fashion as Wuyi yancha. For example, now the hype for TEAWARE in China is going down. And this year, for example, TEAWARE is not as famous and not as good sold as in the past year. So for you, it's a good time to go out there and buy TEAWARE, especially maybe in the year to come. But in Anxi, where TEAWARE is produced, since they cannot sell as much as they were selling before, they've started using the same leaves to produce tea that is yancha-like. And then they put it on the market and they call it Wuyi yancha, they call it Dahong Pao. They don't mention where it comes from, or they say it comes from Wujian, although it does not. So as you see, there are both fake tea and not fake tea, both produced in the Wujian county and outside of the Wujian county. Now, I told you before that there are several ways of defining the protected area. And first of all, why it is protected? Well, it is a UNESCO Natural Heritage Site. It is a World Heritage Site protected by the UNESCO. And now, if you look actually at the map of Wujian, you see pretty much in the center of the county, you see the city of Wujian. And usually, just south of the city, there is a green area that you see on the map. That is what people usually refer to as protected area. But as a matter of fact, if you move then farther to the west, on the west end, far west of Wujian County, there is a large area that is also green on the map that is a high mountain area with peaks that goes well above 1,000 meters, one of them even above 2,000 meters. And now if we overlap the area of the UNESCO World Heritage Site, it covers everything in between. It covers both green areas basically. So you see that actually what is actually protected by UNESCO is far larger than what usually people refer to as protected area. And actually even within the smaller protected area, there is another one that is more a scenic area where tourists go, as I told you in the previous video, and that is even smaller. So let me change here. Now let's speak about the 3 zones, right? I told you about these 3 zones that I told you bullshit in the previous video, that they are defined by the altitude. It is not. Unfortunately, as a matter of fact, there is not a clear definition about the 3 zones. It's not like what is yancha, what is not yancha. At least there is a definition that defines only the location where you can produce that. For the 3 zones, there is not. But for sure, is not the altitude defining them. It's rather the mineral content of the soil. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that Zhenyang, so real cliff, is actually a region where the soil is extremely rich in minerals, and you have also cliffs all around. Then you have Banyan, that is a soil that is fairly rich in mineral content, and then you have Jocha, that is poorly rich in minerals. Now, what does it mean? Very rich, fairly rich, poorly rich? Can we quantify that amount? We cannot quantify that amount. It's just, as is word of mouth, is what people believe. It is a soil rich of minerals. They have certainly done some measurements, there might have been, but as a matter of fact, we have also to say that especially in those very exclusive regions, there are so many plants planted that we have some erosion of the soil. So basically there is so much plants for the little amount of the surface of the soil that they have to bring soil from outside the protected area to just avoid that the plant fell off basically, otherwise all the roots would be exposed. So you see that even within Zhenyang, you might have soil that actually comes from elsewhere. Let me see what I have here. So these I told you. What I wanted also to mention is that if we speak about Zhenyang, we can certainly say that all the Zhenyang is between these so-called protected area, this small green region just south of the city. This we can tell. And also you have a lot of different tea gardens within Zhenyang, but they are usually grouped together according to some geographical features. So for example, you have all the gardens that are within a valley that are called with a specific name, the name of the valley, and also other features like pits, like gorges, like streams that define some local features. And the very core of Zhenyang is usually referred to as Sankeng Liangjian. So Sankeng means basically 3 pits, and Liangjian means 2 streams. So it's a very core region within Zhenyang where you have these 5 groups that I told you before, and in between them you have also other smaller areas that have a specific name. I don't want now to go too much into the Chinese tea lexicon here. Maybe I will do a video about the different region and the different geographic characteristic of Zhenyang. Alright, now let's speak about Banyan. What is Banyan? So to define Banyan, I said, it's very hard to say a clear definition, but what we can tell is that if it is Zhenyang, it's not Banyan, so everything that is called Zhenyang you can exclude. Then is basically most of the banyan is within the protected area, but excluding those low elevation plantations that are along the rivers. By the way, there is not only one river, the Nine Bend River, but there are 3 rivers very close and all around and inside the protected area. And we have to take care because banyan can also be outside the protected area. And now I want to make you an example. Look at this map. You already know which is what usually people call protected area. And on the other side of the big river, where the star is, is Da Shuiken. Now, Da Shuiken is outside of the protected area. It is a mountain region that is fairly high. It goes even higher than actually all the cliffs that are in the protected area, and the soil content is fairly rich of minerals actually. I had several teas there. I even visited actually the mountain, and I like a lot the tea from there. In particular, my favorite from Dashuikeng is actually Laotsong Shuixian. So some people refer to Dashuikeng as Banyan. So some other, though, they wouldn't say it is Banyan, and they would say it is Waishan. Waishan means outer region. It is something different. I will tell you soon about that. So you see that there are even single regions that have different classification according to the people you speak about. I have another example here, just to make to go within the protected area, and we have, for example, Foguoyan. Foguo means Buddha's country, so Foguoyan is the Buddha's country cliff. It is a small region where tea is produced within the protected area, rather in the north, so closer to Wuxian city. And some people refer to it as Zhenyan, real cliff, some other as Banyan, half cliff. Who is right, who is wrong, who knows? As a matter of fact, what is extremely important for yancha, and this is a concept really that you want to keep with you, is the processing. You can completely ruin the tea if you don't process it correctly, up to the last step, that is the roasting. So also here let's say, you can have a very expensive Zhenyan tea that is not so good processed and will taste much worse than a tea that is maybe from the third zone, the Zhou Cha, and has been really processed to perfection. All right, now let me say also what is Zhou Cha. So Zhou Cha is, if you are within the protected area, is actually all those regions along the banks of the rivers that have a low plantation. In some cases they have also terrace tea there, and is definitely also outside the protected area, but mainly actually with the term Zhoucha you refer to those banks of the river within the protected area. And then you have also Waishan, as we said before. Waishan means outer mountain, and here it is meant actually like outer territory, outer region, everything that is outside the so-called protected area. And can be everything, also, 20, 30 kilometers away, as long as it is still within Wuxian County. Okay, so now let's speak for a moment about price. So, is it possible to find an exclusive top-notch Wuyi yancha for specific Zhenyan gardens for a fair price, for an affordable price? Well, the answer unfortunately is no, it's not possible. And why? First of all, Zhenyan gardens are very small, very little availability. Secondly, the farmers can sell their tea for very high prices, like prices like 4,000 RMB for 500 grams is very, very normal. And this is the wholesale price. If you buy at wholesale, you spend 4,000 RMB for half a kilo, you have to sell out that tea for very, very high price, like more than 50 euros for a pound of tea. And now, let's say you are a farmer and you have a tea that you can easily sell for 4,000 RMB. Would you sell it for 400? You wouldn't, and so the farmers would not. All right, so there is another region that I showed you before in the very far west, that is a high mountain region. Well, although this region is actually so far away, like maybe 50 kilometers and maybe 2 hours drive actually from the protected area, there you have also yancha that is produced, and that is really high mountain yancha because you have really gardens at high altitude. It is a protected area. In some region in that mountain, foreigners are not allowed to go. And by the way, also Tongmuguan, the famous place where Zhenshan Xiaozhong, Lapsan Suchong is produced, is on that mountain range. All right, so this is more or less all the information I wanted to give you. and say that prove me wrong. You know, what I told you today is actually my current understanding of the current situation, right? My understanding changes over time, evolve. The current situation evolve over time, and at a specific point of time there are different opinions about the current situation. I know it's a mess, but that's also part of the game if you want. So, not take everything as granted. Don't think that all the information I gave it to you and you read about are like the Bible. You just take it and is the absolute truth. Is not. But nonetheless, try to make up your story. Try to understand what you want to search after. So, and my suggestion is follow your taste. Don't follow your ears. Don't follow your eyes. You want to taste the tea, and if you like it, you go for it. You don't want to just follow what you have listened, speaking about, or what you have read about, including this video. And I'm not really pretending that everything is true, but I do my best to understand it as much as I can. And if I truly enjoy the tea and the price is good for me, that's enough. Say that if you have any question, any topic that you want me to address more specifically about Wuyi yancha, please ask in the comments below. And if you want to complete what I told you, just please tell us your information also in the comments below, so that me and also all the audience that is looking at the video, watching at the video, can have a better understanding of this complex topic. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe our channel if you haven't done it yet. And I will see you in the next video. Bye bye guys.